Thank you very much for joining us for today's presentation of Manage Successful Projects with Results. All right, thanks again for being on today's presentation. We're going to spend about 25 minutes together, and we're going to cover the following materials in today's class. We're going to look at the projects module within results. For those of you that might not have spent a lot of time with the results, I'm going to give a very quick view of how the information is structured and how quickly you can navigate within the system. And then we're going to go ahead and look at identifying projects based on some key aspects of the project, things like due date, status, and stage. We're going to also review how to look at statuses and stage as a methodology for your getting and identifying the projects that you need to be aware of or working on. We're going to look at the various data pieces that are included within a project in results, and this way you can organize documents, emails, any other communications. You'll be able to manage information around each of the projects themselves, and you'll basically be able to look at creating service orders, work orders, activities, steps that are needed for the project to deliver on what was promised. And you'll see how to do that as a record at a time, or you can also deal with them as a process. And we'll define for those of you that might not have worked with the results processes before, we'll define a quick process, and then we will trigger that from within the project itself. And you'll see how that will populate and the data will be in there. The last aspect is being able to have the project tools within results allow you to track who you're doing business with, who's involved with the project, what are the different entities and what the relationship are to the project, and maybe a date of involvement or a period of time in which they are involved with them. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on the side and switch over to the results system. The results system that I'm working with right now, this is the desktop version of results. Just about all this functionality is also available in the results for the web, which is the complementary product or the corresponding web product that comes with the results field service or with the upgrade to web mobile, giving you the same functionality but available from any device using any of the 4 browsers and using tablets or laptops or anything on the field. All right, so we're going to go ahead and log in, and I'm going to do a very quick overview about the information that is being tracked in results so that we are on the same page regarding where the data is. Right now, I've logged in with a user that has their home page automatically opened. A home page, as you probably know, is something that you can ask the system through the configuration options to automatically open for you, like we've done here, auto start with the home page checked off. And here I access that screen by going through configuration options, and this is per user. So each user within your company can set up their system to work differently, or you can come in and request the home page to be created, to be displayed. Home page will display the most commonly requested or needed data that the person likes to work with, and it's per user. So right now I'm logged in as user Mary. Mary is an office manager, has responsibilities across various data types from customers to prospects to listing of all the active projects being worked on within the system or pending activities. Well, if I had come in under, let's say, a Mike as a different entity within the organization, Mike still needs to see the projects that are being worked on by the company, the same 26 records, but his homepage might be structured totally differently because the emphasis and his workflow is different than Mary's. All right, so that's one aspect of the data. The other aspect of the data that I want to make sure we're clear on is that results gives you the flexibility to work the way you like to work and the way you need to work. So you're not forced to work from the context record. So in this case, I went to the context management, clicked on manage. That means I want to manage all the contact data. And from there, let's say I want to go to Stefan Anderson's account. I double click on that. And then from within the screen, this is called the full profile screen, which has every single tab in there. And this is all the business area or the relationship management that we do with Stefan Anderson. And I can go to the projects tab as one of the data areas where we might have data. And I double click on the project to open up and see the project. Now notice what I've done then is I went, the route to get to the project in this case was through finding the customer I'm interested in, opening their account, getting to the project record from within that workflow. That's not the only way to get to the Proj 107, which is the project that we're looking at. I could not have come into context at all, but instead went to the main menu and told the system that I would like to work with services and projects. And from services and projects told it I would like to manage my projects. At this point, I have multiple ways of getting to the project that I'm interested in. I can go to the standard search and type in the project code. So maybe here I'll go in and type Proj 107 and I press apply and it's found the record for me. That's one approach. I'm going to go ahead and clear that because for a better approach and a quicker approach, reset and apply. Okay, so the other approach and the quicker one is to effectively come into the column that has the data you're interested in, and in this case we're looking for a code, a project, how it's identified, and I can click in this open area and type PROJ. And as I typed in, the system will automatically, in what's called dynamic search, it will dynamically search through the grid and leave the data displayed that matches whatever criteria you're typing in one or more of those columns. And in this case, I got to Proj 107, but I got to Proj 107 directly without having to go through the route of opening the contact first. Effectively, the system is letting you know that you can work the way you're comfortable working with the data, and in this case, you can get to the same information that you eventually got through by opening the contact record first, but now you did not have to. And by the way, because results prides itself on giving you the data you need at the time that you need it. If I now want to open up the contact record, I don't want you to think that you have to back out of this screen, close it, go find the contact record, search for it, and open the contact record. We have a lot of shortcuts within the system. And in this case, if you look at the icons next to the contact record, or the customer record in this case, that's associated with this project, you'll notice that one of the buttons, and if you're not sure what a button does, put your cursor on that for about a second, and you'll have a shortcut or tooltip, it's called, that will explain to you that you can open up the primary contact. So if you find yourself working on a project and you want to find information about the contact, you're able to request that directly from the project record, saving you a lot of times and a lot of frustration of backing out of what you're doing to get to something else. And now all the contact information necessary, including other projects being worked on, whether they owe you money or not, or what invoices have been sent, all of those are available to you directly from within a screen that you can call directly from the project itself. All right, so that's it on the navigation. I'm going to share one more thing else with you for a quick access to data. Please remember that results conforms to the Microsoft style banded menu or the tab menu that you see up here. And what that means is that you have this hidden menu, or kind of a subtle menu sitting up here on the top left corner, that if you click on it, that is actually your quickest way to get any of this data that we talked about. So you want to get to projects, you go here and it says manage the different items. You scroll down here and you go to projects, and you just took a shortcut to open up the project data management center, which is the grid that has all the data, without you needing to engage services first and getting to manage projects from here. So it's a shortcut. Also, if you know that you're going to add a certain type of data, I want to add a brand new project, I can start here by adding any type of data I want by going to this list or shortcut to create items. Final piece of information for getting to your data. You might have it already on the home page. So if I am Mary right now working from my home page, I can double click on this list of all projects, and all 26 of them listed up here will be available and open for me. At the same time, from any screen, including the home page, results has something called My Items. My results items, since the system knows who you are, can get you quickly to the items that matter. So you want to get to your projects or projects you're involved with, you go to My, click on My Projects, and in this case, there was one item that I'm logged in. Remember, I'm logged in as Mary. You'll notice Mary is assigned to that project. So if you double click on this project, you'll see that Mary has involvement as being responsible for the project itself. So that's the assigned to, and that's why when Mary says, show me my project, that record came up, and all the other 25 projects did not. Okay, Final point to make is that when you're working with projects and you go to manage, please note that this is not every project in your system. You'll notice I only see 24 projects here when I went and requested to manage projects. Results by design will only show you the active projects that have not been completed and marked as completed. So if you want to see the others, what you're able to do, click on the standard search, and the system shows you that by default this checkbox is checked, indicating that only active projects are going to be shown. If you uncheck this box and click apply, you'll see that instead of 24, there are actually 26 projects in the system that are there. 2 of them happen to be completed. Now you'll notice this 26 also matches the count of records on the list of all projects. That's why this menu option that was put on the home page is saying list all projects, not just the projects that are active. But if you come in to the services, projects, and manage, or you click on this button to go directly to the manage, you're only going to see, by default, you're only going to see active projects, which happen to be 24 in the system, and then you can modify that criteria or make changes to the way you want to search for information. So please don't let that throw you off where you think that you might have lost some data or some projects are missing. If you mark them completed, and this is how you would do that, by the way, you're basically put in the completed date, check it off, and put the completed date up here. I'll open the record and show that, but this is not the one that marks it and hides it. It's this one here. You see how you have a checkbox that says this is now inactive project. That means we're done with it. We built it, we did everything that we need to do on it, and when you check that box and hit save, then that project will no longer appear as part of your active universe. So if I exit, in other words, from here and click on manage again, I'm down to 23 projects because one of the 24, I just closed it out by hiding it from the active list. Effectively, the system is saying you're not going to delete those projects that are done. They need to stay in the system. There are invoices on them. There are activities on them. There's other data on them. But you don't have to be dealing with them and seeing them all the time because it makes project management much more difficult to be dealing with every project your company ever did as compared to the open ones that have not been closed out and filed away. All right. So dealing with the identifying key aspects of the project. So please remember that you're working from a data management center. A data management center, which is what's shown up here, is totally under your control. And the things that you do to it or the changes that you make to it are only specific to your session. They are only under your ID. In this case, I'm logged in as Mary. Whatever I do here is going to affect Mary only and will not affect any other user. So let's talk about what those are. When you look at the Data Management Center, effectively this is a dynamic spreadsheet of all the information there. That's the concept of how Results uses management of center. It's similar to Excel. You're just opening another spreadsheet. In this case, it's the Excel Data Project spreadsheet. And if you scroll to the right side, you're going to see additional columns up here. And some of them are more useful than others based on how you operate and the kind of data you're managing. From my perspective, some of the most key information is here. I want the customer name relating to that project. So notice, instead of having to scroll each time to get at that data, I'm going to grab the field of interest, and I'm clicking on it and dragging, and I'm moving the mouse, dragging the mouse to the left side, and you'll notice it will force the DMC, or DMC for short, Data Management Center. We call them DMC for short. And I'm forcing the DMC to get updated, and now I'm going to let go of this column up here. By doing so, I just put the customer name up here. Now, by having this conveniently available to me, please take advantage as you work with your data and part of managing and identifying and focusing on the things that matter. Take full advantage of this blue area up here. You see what it says, drag a column header here to group by that column? Okay, take that capability seriously. It's really throughout the whole system, but look what we can do right now. I can take this customer name, click on it and drag it, but now I'm dragging it up and putting it in the blue area and letting go. Look what just happened. you just built a dynamic report based on your customer list of every single name of the customers alphabetically listed. And you'll see that Anderson, for example, has one project. This customer, for example, Hugh Molozzi, has actually 3 projects. If you 3 active projects, there might be others hidden. Remember, we're only seeing the active projects. Now, I already know that you can double-click on an entry on the home page to open it up. But what if you really want to look at all 3? So you don't really want to keep opening and closing screens, not remembering what you saw on the very handy way to manage that for you. If you click on those 3 checkboxes to tell the system you're interested in those 3 projects, you're able to now go up here and click on Open. Anytime you double-click, even if there's a checkbox, if you double-click, it's only going to open the record you're on. You're basically drilling into that record. That's what double-clicking means. But if you select more than one record and you click on Open, the system will look and see if anything is selected. And in that case, it's smart enough to figure out that, hey, you know what? I want to do things a little bit differently. I want to be able to see all these 3 records at the same time. I want to go look at their activities and see what kind of activities are under each of them, or what kind of invoices might have been under this project versus invoices, 2 of them under this project, and under this project 2 invoices also, or resources or relations or anything that you need to. You're studying and drilling into the account, to the projects that matter based on what your criteria is and what you're looking for. By the way, within the customer list, I might also want to see things instead of a customer order, in other words, grouping them by the customer. It might be more important from a work management perspective if I want to see things based on the status or the stage. I'm sorry, let me define what those are. We have not highlighted some of the key aspects. When you're managing projects and results, there's a project code. This is the quick name of the project. Typically, it's the year, month, day in which it was created, and a serial number. Remember also, if you're a QuickBooks user, your jobs in QuickBooks come across the results as projects. And so whatever the job name is, it might be a company name, or it might be a street address where the work is being done. So in that case, that would be like in this case here, 155 Wilkes Boulevard is more likely the location where the work is being done. It is. And so the project name is a job name for that in QuickBooks. Now, in addition to that, you have a type dropdown, and the type dropdown allows you to specify the different types of projects. So, for example, you might be in the construction business, and one of your types of project is roofing. Some of your other projects might be replacing the HVAC, or it might be painting, or it might be kitchen work. So the different kind of projects you do, the advantage of putting them in a type, as you'll see shortly, is it allows you to instantly organize your groups by the type of project, or you can add an entry to your home page that says, I only work on the HVAC items. And so when you open projects, you're not only just opening active projects, but you're opening active projects in the department that you operate in within your organization. So types are very helpful that way. They're also helpful for doing reporting on how much business you're getting under each type of business. The other one that we, and by the way, anytime you see a drop-down, please remember, you already probably experienced that. If you see a drop-down, that means you manage that data. It's whatever you put in that drop-down yourself. So your company will decide on those types. The next drop-down that's key is status. The status is, again, whatever is the terminology and the verbiage you use within your organization. Also, please note, results has a very sophisticated status and stage where you can have a different list of statuses specific to the project. So, for example, if your project is, again, roofing, then the status for roofing might be just active, completed, and in progress, maybe. But if it's HVAC, then there might be on hold, awaiting parts, might be a status. Because there's a dependency on physical entities that you need to install before you can go and do the work, etc. So the status could be generic and available to all your projects, or could be very specific to the type of project. Same thing with stage. The stage is the stage of completion that you're in. Typically represents a percentage of completion on the project itself, and they can be project specific, or they can be generic and company-wide or company specific. All right, so with those fields up here, then when you come in to manage your data, you start putting those fields that are important to you in an order that helps you manage the data well. So your status and stage, you can take that status and bring it closer here to where, because you use it a lot, you're going to put it next to the type maybe, and then the other one is the stage. And we're going to move that and put it up there. So notice in the way I've structured my own data management center, I'm basically saying it doesn't even matter what the project code is or the customer is. I'm going to look at these first. So the first thing I can do is take this and organize my list by project type. So now you can see that you have 22 new and 1 upsell based on the type of projects you put in the system. Now notice you can group within a group. What does that mean? I can take my types and now say within those types, what is the status? So out of all the new ones, there are 2 statuses there. There are 20 that are active, and there are 2 that are in progress. And there's the list that you're working from. Now, you change your mind and say, you know what, I don't want to see it that way. I want to see status first, and then the type of project secondary. So the system just rebuilt everything instantly for you. These are all your active projects. Within your active projects, there are 2 breakdowns, 20 new and 1 upsell. And then you can look at the next status, and that's in progress, and see the information there. So the grouping can be as deep as you want it to be, and can be for different levels. Also, please remember results support. Sometimes you need to take that data and put it in front of a supervisor or reviewing in a different different medium. Please note that anything that you do up here, including grouping, which is extremely powerful way for you to organize your workflow, can be exported out to Excel. This out to export it. I'm going to put a test 1 without the quote at the end. And then I'm going to see the listing that I pushed out from my system here. And the beauty in which our system works with Excel is you'll notice that everything that you had up here, the grouping and subgrouping, is respected as it gets pushed into Excel. So you'll see the grouping up here the same way. And so the ability for you to work with your data within results or push it out to Excel to work with it externally becomes extremely helpful. Now, within the project itself, so let me go ahead and, by the way, the quickest way to get rid of all of those, you can put them back one at a time if you want, but the quickest way to reset is hit the refresh button. It rebuilds everything for you and puts them in the same order, in the right order. By the way, without grouping in results, you're also able to sort on more than 1 column. You might not be aware of that. So you might be aware that you can sort on 1 column status. You click it again, it sorts descending. But you can also actually do more than 1 column sort, and you do that by holding down the Shift key. If you hold down the Shift key and you click on stage, now within the sorted status, your stages are sorted, and if you hold down the Shift key and click it again, it becomes descending order or ascending order. So in other words, flips between the 2 as you go to a multi-column sort. And within those, you can sort your projects by name or by customer name. Whatever you want to do, you're able to do it. If you click on 1 column without the other columns at the same, without holding down the Shift key, that cancels the multi-column sort. All right. So what we also wanted to do up here is show you what you can do within the system. So let's go to this Proj 107. We're going to open up this project, and I'm going to highlight some of the areas where you can put your data. So you have documents and links, and the idea behind that is not only could you add documents, which could be any type of document that you want to select, but also some of those documents or pointers could be also a URL, a website address. And the way you handle that is you come here to the drop-down and tell the system this is going to be a website address. So if you're referencing a document that's already sitting on in a website, you're able to handle that, as well as physical documents, image files, any type of document that's physically on your server available to your users. The additional things that you can manage up here is the relations. So all of you are aware that in addition to all the information on the top of the screen where you can specify the customer, within the customer you can also specify the location itself that might be there. So when you search here, notice I went to customers 1001 and I click on this search button next to the associate area, which is the job site where the work is being done, and I can see all the listing of the associates, the additional contacts and locations on that account, and I can select the one there. So we've specified that the work is being done at this physical location. So that's what's important on the top portion. Now, when you're at the bottom portion, I'm going to highlight two remaining important items. The activities. Activities can be added one at a time, like you can on a contact record. I want to schedule a meeting. I can click on Add, and I can click on the drop down here to select the different things. By default, it's a meeting, and we can say meet regarding a project. Excuse the typos. And we're going to go ahead and hit save. So any additional information relating to that could go into the notes. I can have documents relating to this meeting. I can take with me a schematic or a diagram, or there might be multiple emails. So whatever is needed to support that meeting could be in the various tabs that are available up here. Now, that's one way of doing it. But typically, when you're dealing with projects, so for example, this is an installation of an HVAC unit, there really is typically a pretty standard way and a multiple step way for you how to do that, from getting a county certificate that you're able to do any digging that might be necessary, to being able to bring in the units, install the units, configure it properly, and make sure it's operational. So instead of having to add each of those individual units and potentially take the risk of skipping one, you're able to, in results, handle what's called a process. The process is effectively a drop-down of whatever processes that you might have put into the system itself. And in this case, these are the various processes that have been built. Let's say the technical support is equivalent to installing an HVAC unit. So whether that's a 5-step process or a 50-step process or just a couple, it doesn't matter. The system is going to proceed to insert those for you within the system, based on the number of days apart that these steps needed to be followed. And that's what you would do in an activated process. So typically what happens is you get to a certain stage in the process, or maybe it's an initial stage, you'll activate a process that deals with initial stage for this kind of project. Then you'll get it to another stage, let's say on a in progress, or there might be other stages, and then you will trigger a different process because you've gotten to a milestone where you can go to the next level. So that's typically how you use processes. As a reminder, processes are designed and configured up here under setup. You go to maintain processes, and that's where, when we looked at technical support, there were 2 steps to it, one within 3 days and one within 7 days from when you triggered it. So that's how that process came about. Let me show you one more thing to share with you here. So under the activities, your activities could be all set up directly there, and there could be with different entities that you're involved with. You need to talk to this vendor to check something and then deliver the other item after you talk to another entity. So your activities could be scheduled directly under the project, and when you go to the contact record, it doesn't all have to be 1001. This meeting or this activity could be with another entity other than the primary entity you just selected from the list and schedule the work. The final item I wanted to share with you is referencing to who else is working on the project. So you can specify resources within your company. This is very particularly helpful in managing timesheets and how timesheets are filled, where people can then put hours because they're allocated to a certain project. You would do that by adding or identifying a resource. The resource name from the drop-down will be the people that work within your organization. You specify the rate under which they're going to be billing. So we're going to bill under an installation rate. You can specify a wage type if you're doing timesheet synchronization with QuickBooks. So these would be the QuickBooks wage types. You can also put the default activity of work that they do. So in this case, we're going to do an on-site service as the default work they'll do. The involvement within the project might be limited to a certain time frame. They're only going to work on this project from December 1 till December 15. That's it. So from a timesheet aspect, you can also indicate that they are part-time for a limited time, or whatever else that you need to put in here in the notes, and then you hit save. So from a timesheets perspective, Results has controls to let the person not be able to put any hours, even though they're allocated to this project, they can't put any hours past the 16th or before the 1st, so that the billing is appropriate and the invoicing is appropriate. So that's one way of managing resources. The other thing that you can do, which is extremely powerful, a lot of people have skipped over this feature, is something called the Relations tab. The Relations tab allows you to specify entities that have involvement with this project. So let's say this project is being managed by a property management. That's where you're installing the HVAC unit, and the property management company has a project manager that you need to work with to get the job done. So what you're able to do up here is you can specify a relation that says, I need to work, let's see what we have up here, and let's go to one of those vendors that says electric gas company. I don't know if we have an associate record, we don't, and we can specify the fact that they are responsible or have responsibility for this project. So let's say, for example, in this case, they're going to be the project manager vendor on that. And their involvement with this project is going to be from the beginning of December all the way to the end of December 2015. You also can put a reciprocal relationship between that vendor and back to this account if you want to, and say that's their client. That's why they're responsible for the project management. Okay, the advantage, and this is letting you know that both of them have been created. So notice what we're looking at then, is when you come to this project, you can tell that this is the Cal Gas and Electric is the company that has vendor project management responsibility. And by the way, while you're on the project, you can click on Open Related Contact Records, so you don't have to back out of what you're doing, and you can go directly to the gas company and make a phone call and log the call that you talked to them regarding this project that they have responsibility for. So everything that you do under the Relations tab could be every single entity that is have some sort of responsibility within this organization, within this project, and you can specify the organization itself, the type of relationship they have, and if they're limited in responsibility to a certain period of time, you can even specify that within the effective expiration date of that relationship, because maybe in January, another project manager will be responsible for that. So you would know who to refer to based on when the issue came up. This could also be great for companies that deal with insurance agents. So the insurance information could be specified here, and again, responsibility for a certain type of insurance for a period of time can all be spelled out with all the cross-reference under that Relations tab. All right, we're a little bit past the time, so I want to thank you again very much for being on the call today. Just to bring closure to the presentation, please note that within the results system, there are many other additional features and functionality. Results software as a company continues to do multiple webinars, so we point out here that tomorrow, Tuesday, there is a sales or webinar on sales. On this Thursday, there's a webinar on automating processes, and there will be others. Some of them already been recorded in the past, already on our Learning Center. Please feel free to engage any of those as we help you do more with the result system that you've done. So thank you very much for your time today. Appreciate it. The recording of this session will be available to you. It will be emailed typically within 24 hours or so to prepare the file, the video file, and send a link to it to you, so you'll be able to access that. If you have additional questions, or if you want to do training classes with us, or you want to do consulting sessions for more specific project management around how you do business, or you need special forms created within Crystal Reports, please speak to us. You can always reach us at 800-713-7013 and ask for your account manager, or just talk to client services. Thank you again for being on the webinar today. I appreciate your time. Have a great afternoon.